Hello, my name's John Wells, and over the course of this documentary I aim to find out whether there is a link between violence in video games and violence in the real world. Over the last decade or so it's been a hot topic all over the media, so I've decided to get some answers once and for all. First of all, I've come onto the streets of Bromsgrove here in Worcestershire to find out what the people have to say. What do you feel about the idea that there could be a link between violence and video games?
I don't think it's correct, really, because I really think it's down to someone's state of mind, or if they have problems or whatever.
I think there is a link between violent video games, especially for children, younger children, because their brains are still developing and they can't comprehend what they see on the screen as not being reality.
Very strong link because, you know, kids when my mum and dad were little, they used to get a clip round the ear hole as soon as they'd done something wrong, never stepped foot out of place, played out in the streets, and now the kids are like psychos today.
I'm sure there is.
Big link.
Do you think it's a problem?
Yes.
It is.
Do you think it's children or...?
Well, they think it's a normal way.
It's obvious, really, isn't it? That the more you see the violence, the more I'm going to react to it.
In 1958, American physicist William Higginbotham created what's widely regarded as one of the first computer games, Tennis for Two. It wasn't until the early 70s when Atari created the first mainstream computer game, Pong. Games such as Space Invaders and Asteroids both followed not long after. It was in the 1980s when these games started to move out of the arcade and into the home, with the launch of the Commodore 64 and the first big selling console, the Nintendo Entertainment System. The 1990s is when we started to see violent video games become commonplace, with titles such as Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil and Die Hard all on Sony's PlayStation 1 and Doom on the PC, with the latter being one of the factors linked to the infamous Columbine High School shooting in the United States. Since the turn of the century, games such as the Grand Theft Auto series have increasingly become biggest sellers, and with it more violent incidents have been linked to these games, which have become more detailed, more involving and have given us greater character depth. Incidents of video game related violence in the noughties include 18-year-old Devin Moore from Alabama in the US, who killed 2 police officers after he was arrested for possession of a stolen vehicle. And closer to home in Leicestershire, Warren LeBlanc lured a 14-year-old boy to a park and then later stabbed him repeatedly with a claw hammer and knife. LeBlanc was said to be obsessed with manhunt. With Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 being released in 2009 featuring terrorist acts, the controversy doesn't appear to be going away soon. It's certainly a far cry from William Higginbotham's Tennis for Two. So we've heard what the public think, but as we all know, the public know nothing. So what do the experts think? I've come here to New College in Bromsgrove to ask some of the experts on site their views on violence and video games.
There's no direct link if you're thinking that, say, somebody watches a video, so-called video nasty, and then goes out and commits a crime. But there does seem to be evidence that we get something called desensitisation. That's the process where violence becomes, it loses its shock value, and so in society itself, people tend not to be so shocked at all when violent occurrences happen and are more willing to use violence.
Well, I always used to think there wasn't a link, but I think as games have got more graphic and I think perhaps there is perhaps a link. I think it's to do with the fact that maybe if you get younger and younger children playing games that are really meant for adults, games like Grand Theft Auto, for instance, where you can go up to total strangers and beat them over the head with a baseball bat. And especially perhaps if you've got a young child that already perhaps has, you know, some sort of problem, then maybe that would make their problem worse. So I think there could be a link, maybe.
So we've heard what the experts think, but I've decided to do a little experiment of my own. I've invited Michael and Chailey to the student lounge at the college, and first, here's what they think.
Not necessarily, no, because I believe there has to be something wrong with the person at first for them to actually get influenced by a video game. Because if you look at all the many different crimes, there's hardly like a minuscule amount of people that actually get influenced by video games. So no, not necessarily, but the majority, I mean, anybody can get influenced by anything, movies, music. I mean, why just pick on video games? You know, that's how I think of it.
There's no link. They can't really blame a game for a person's actions against other people.
Hi guys, thanks for coming today, I really appreciate it. What I want you two to do is help me with a little experiment. What I want to do is test people's temperament after playing some violent video games. So I'm going to make you play, well not make you, obviously it's your own free choice, I'm going to make you play 3 different violent video games, games which have been notably violent, maybe been in the news or something. They're all on the Xbox 360 title. The titles are Modern Warfare 2, Hitman and Mortal Kombat. Before these games I want you to play a game of Jenga to see how long you two last, how calm you are, how relaxed you are, and after these games I also want you to see the game of Jenga. It'll just give us a general idea on how it affects people's minds. Obviously it's not a totally 100% scientific experiment, but it will give us that idea. So if you could make your way over to the Jenga set, please. So we're all set, I'm there with my stopwatch, and it's ready to go. Jenga requires a steady hand, and lots of patience. You need to be a calm person to play this game. Let's see how long Michael and Chailey can last here. And at 1 minute 21, the set is down. So now it's time for 3 hours of solid, intense gaming. How will they be at the Jenga after this? So with the gaming under their belt, it's time for part 2 of the Jenga. Let's see how they react. Oh, and it's gone after 20 seconds. Time to welcome them back to the sofa area. Thanks for taking part, guys. You've really helped our insight. So there you have it. Their adrenaline was pumping by the second game of Jenga after the 3 hours of gaming. But that doesn't really tell us everything. In fact, the only way we could really find out whether that gaming would turn them violent is giving them a pistol and sending them out onto the streets of Bromsgrove. And let's face it, the streets of Bromsgrove is enough to turn anyone a little bit crazy. My personal opinion on this is that gaming can have an effect on society over a period of time. I suppose it can desensitise society, and it could desensitise our society even further. I don't think you'll find many cases of people playing 3 hours of GTA and going out onto the streets and shooting a load of people. But I do think that does happen in a very small percentage of cases, and I do think we need to look into this matter further. So once and for all, find out whether it's only a game.